So Klay Thompson signs a $70 million deal, and a picture of his girlfriend surfaces and is taking over the internet. Well, the guys that I hang out with call it a thirst trap picture. And if you don't know what a thirst trap is defined, there's a definition for this term, defined as sort of like a fantasy picture, like a picture of how the girl of your dreams would look. You're very, very lusty, wet, nasty most times dreams. And I looked at the picture and I said, hey, you know what? As a female, I can't front. Okay. She is fantastic. I'd love to have a body that fantastic. So how could I get that fantastic body? Well, then when I think of fantastic, I think of fantasy. And when I think of fantasy, unfortunately, I think of fantasy basketball because I'm very competitive. So I decided to figure out how I can link fantasy basketball with fitness. I'm going to try to go from thick to thirst trap using fantasy basketball stats. How will I do it? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 4 categories from fantasy basketball and, matter of fact, use them to create a custom workout plan every week. The stat categories that I'm going to use are turnovers. A main characteristic of a thirst trap is the ass, and you cannot spell assists without the word ass. So assists are going to be used in this workout plan. And when I think of rebounds, I think of boards. And when I think of boards, I think of washboard stomach. So rebounds are going to be very important. And points. Okay, we're going to use points for push-ups. Okay, here's more detail. So for turnovers, the most dreaded, horrible thing that can happen in sports is a turnover. And when I think of horrible things, I think of running. Running is very horrible. So I'm going to take the person with the most turnovers and use that as the amount of miles, the total turnovers they had, the amount of miles I have to run that week. This week, it happens to be Dwight Howard with 12. So I have to run a total of 12 miles for during this entire week. Thank you, Dwight. Next is assists. I'm going to use the person on my fantasy roster with the most assists and multiply it by 5, representing the team. And that will be the total amount of squats I have to do for the week. This week was Darren Collison with 26. You go, Darren. Next is rebounds. Now for rebounds, I'm going to take the 2 highest rebounders on my fantasy team and add up their rebounds. That will be the total amount of sit-ups I have to do per day. Those 2 people are, surprise, surprise, Kevin Love and Dwight Howard. Again, Dwight, you're killing me. Thank you very much. So Kevin Love had 30, Dwight had 43. So that's a total of 73 sit-ups per day that I have to do. Lastly would be push-ups. And I'm going to take the player with the highest amount of points and the player on my roster with the lowest amount of points and total that up. And that will be the amount of push-ups I have to do per day. The high in points happens to be Darren Collison. Again, you go, boy. And the low is Andre Iguodala with, I think he had 16. But we'll be watching Golden State over time to see how they use Andre. But yeah, this is the workout. Turnovers equals miles to run. Assists is squats. Rebounds is sit-ups. And points is push-ups. I'm going to be doing this every week and posting my progress thirst trap picks. See how progressively the body transforms over time, and hopefully by the end of the season, I am thirst trap material. Yes, my goal is to take a good thirst trap pic. So yeah, join me